to Spanglish Sports World Network on Zingo TV channel 250 and H.E.R Network 251. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app on the app stores of iOS and Android devices. They are free, so you cannot beat the price. When you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment because both apps are free. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku, Roku sticks, and all smart TVs 2016 and forward.
A lot of things.
Yes, it is.
A lot of things
and growing regularly. That's probably an out-of-date thing that I've got there.
So you've got about 8,000 ways to watch this show.
Exactly, yes. And you can watch it on TV. You can basically try and figure out some kind of a way, maybe convert it into Morse code or something like that. You know, it will take a little longer to go. For an hour-long episode. But yes, this is Tales from the Film Set. I am Scott Churchson. Alongside me is my far better half, my co-host for the day, and I'd say we have Robin Guzowski under her stage name of Faith D. Robinson. And also we have a cat here. We have a monoplegic cat who has 3 working legs. She's decided to join this more from the standpoint that she does not want to miss out on any attention.
Yes, Scully has a little bit of FOMO going on whenever there's any type of computer-related Zoom or video chat. She always wants to.
So
let me see. I can probably get a better view of her little special fin.
There we go. Yeah, see, there's like I said, the one leg just kind of just hangs there like that. It doesn't really do anything except basically just take up space.
Yeah, but she doesn't care.
Yeah, she is in fact a suffering, animal, being pampered, food, nap, comfortable places and such. So anyway, bringing the camera back up to y'all. So yes,
we don't need to look at my abdomen, and good.
Oh, you got great abs. Don't even worry. But yeah, we got a bunch of stuff we're going to be covering. This show is being pre-recorded. Today is actually June 14th for June 15th show. Today is also a very important day. Personally, this day, not the day it's airing, because 2 years ago today, I was Hillbilly #1 in Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, the movie.
Congratulations.
I had my literal 1 word of dialogue in the Kimmy Schmidt movie. You heard my voice, you saw my face, but not at the same time. Still got.
And what was the word?
It was yeah.
All right.
Literally yeah. But you know
was that during the song? Anyway. Was that during the singing part?
It was during the singing part. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Right. During the part where Titus Andronicus, was singing Freebird, the correct version. If you saw the movie, yes, I had my 1 word yeah, and
there you go.
My 15 out of seconds of fame. But we are focusing a lot of today on you.
All right.
There were some stories that we never covered the first time when you were on a few weeks back.
That is true.
Your story about 30 Rock, your story about Las Alonso. You had a bunch of stuff in there. So, you know what? The floor is yours.
All right. So I guess I'll start with the Las Alonso story because that explains the stage name. So I act and produce and make films and do all that fun stuff as a hobby. And my real career had actually a thing where there's a media relations department. So any media appearances by anyone who works for the company needed to be, verified by them and checked, and they had to be notified. And I was like, yeah, I don't really want them getting that deep into my personal life. So a friend of mine said, hey, you need a stage name. Hence Faith T. Robinson. If you want to look me up on IMDb, that's where all my credits are. I don't think I have any under Robin Gwizdowski, but you would know better because I don't actually.
No, actually, I don't remember better. I got.
But yeah, so now that I'm, out about this, which sorry for stealing that phrase. Happy Pride Month to all who deserve to use the phrase out. But now that I am public about acting and making films and whatnot, I do use my real name. But anyway, that explains why I'm Faith T. Robinson. So I was on an episode of a show called Mysteries of Laura, starring Deborah Messing and Laz Alonso. And there was an option to be scantily clad. So I had discussed that with casting and said, what exactly is your definition of scantily clad? Because they asked if I was comfortable. And they said, no nudity, but just lingerie. And I said, no, sorry. I could probably lose my real job doing something in lingerie. So after going back and forth with casting on what I was and was not comfortable wearing, we agreed on kind of a short little dress that I maybe would wear to a club and not many other places, but not anything that was too revealing. So flash forward, go to set, come on, and I believe it was the AD, could have been the DP, I'm not sure, approached me and said, hey, would you be comfortable being scantily clad? Because we have wardrobe we could put you in, you have a great look. And I said, unfortunately, I'm really sorry. I could probably lose my job. So Les Alonso, who's, second lead on the show, comes over to me and he goes, I overheard you saying that you could lose your real job. And I said, yeah. He goes, what do you do, hon? So, so I told him, and he said, all right, I'm out in you next scene. And he goes, so the phrase was, I think, let's come on, get out of here. And he goes, next time I'm saying, come on, Dr. G, get out of here. So we had a couple of good laughs about that. And we ended up compromising on, it was one of those one shoulder dresses that came across like this. And I said, how about if I have my shoes in my hand and when the camera starts, I pull up my sleeve as though I was rushing to throw clothing on? And they said, that's great. Go ahead and do that. It still stuck me right in the front. So you could see me pretending as though I had been unclothed prior to the camera starting. And that was where the stage name was. So he had actually said to me, oh, I hope to God you have a stage name. And I said, I do. So it was a fun little interaction. And
good on you. So basically, Mysteries of Laura was a good experience. It only lasted, I think, a couple, 3 years. I think it was maybe 2 years.
I think it was only 2 seasons. Yeah.
Deborah Messing was a cop, if I remember right. Like
yes, they were both cops.
Yeah. So it was a little weird from that perspective because everybody saw her as Will and Grace, Will and Grace. And after that, she had Smash, and then of course, that show there. So she kind of bounced around at least a little bit from that regard. But Mysteries of Laura was a fun show, partly because if I remember right, she had a very hard out time. So after 10 hours, I think it was in her contract, she's done. So like some shows out there where you know exactly what time you're going to be done, this was one of them. So you knew 6 p.m., for example, gone. I do want to point out also, and you're probably seeing this on your side, but is my light flashing in and out? Where I'm dark and then I'm light, and I'm light and dark. So I don't know.
No, it does not appear to be. Oh, yeah, there it is.
It's weird because it's, we'll deal with it. It's overcast today. The weather's a little odd as far as basically how things are going here. So it's rain, it's scummy. It's a weird situation. I don't usually, I swear this never happens to me.
And anybody watching this can tell that there is a little mini film studio in our house. One of us is using it, one of us is not. You could probably figure that out by the lighting.
Yeah. So, but in this case here, she's upstairs. Upstairs. I'm down. Actually, both of you guys are upstairs.
Yes.
You never to be missing an opportunity.
My co-host over here.
Yes, and like I said, I'm hiding down in the basement. So this is where I go when I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Find us, by the way, also on Facebook at Tales from the Film Set and on Twitter at Film Set Tales. I will be throwing Instagram into the mix fairly shortly, so you can find us there. Probably on Tales from the Film Set, I think is what I'm going to be running with. All three of them, trivia on this date in history, things like that. New, weird little coincidences, stories, who almost was cast in certain things. That kind of stuff I'm going to be covering a lot in the Instagram page too, as well, kind of like I do with Sportsnet. But find us always on there. Alongside me, of course, is my far, far, far better half, and very kind to be doing this on her day off. Thank you very much.
No
Robin Gwiazdowski, under her stage name of Faith T. Robinson, gives a little bit of credibility there.
Exactly, because everybody's got to have a stage name.
Exactly. Mine is Scott Churchson, or hey Bugley. Mentioned that on last week's show that basically some of the things that I've been called on set. So anyway, continuing on, you did have a story. We're going to cover a few other things here. You had a 30 Rock story we're going to be covering.
Yes.
We could probably talk about our near miss Smash story.
Oh, that's true.
Yes, we could talk about that one since we brought up Smash a little bit earlier. I'm going to be probably talking a little bit more about Severance, since the reason I'm recording this right now also is because I'm on set again for Severance. I mentioned this in the last couple of shows. where I body double. I stand in for Michael Chernus, who you may remember from Men in Black 3, is basically being the guy who gave the time travel device to Will Smith. He's a good guy. It's a good set. I talked about this last week. Anyway, I'm back there tomorrow, and they're just like, here, have a bag of money. So we're pre-recording this today on Monday the 14th. Anyway,
Like I said, a bag of money.
Yeah,
so let's talk about a story of yours that we've discussed multiple times at my workplace. So
I have no idea.
Yeah, about how I went to school for 20 years and do some hardcore life death drama type of stuff at work, and my darling husband got paid almost as much as I do for the day to be in a commercial where he does this.
Yeah.
Wait. It was more like this. Turn to camera.
Yes. And being off in the distance, not even featured, just dude over
Yes, off in the distance. And they say they're rolling, and he goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're all a little bit jealous about that. Sometimes working in the film industry.
Are we allowed to actually talk about what you do in any facet or capacity?
Yeah, what the heck?
All right. I mean, we can just go. We can leave it at frontline worker and leave it at that if you want.
What the heck? Yeah, leave it at frontline worker. If people are curious, they can ask us on social media. So there you go. If you want to know what my real job is, you got to connect with us online.
Exactly. We'll find it that way. But yeah, you as a frontline worker, go ahead, please.
But suffice it to say, it took a lot of school. It takes a lot of effort, and it's a lot more than. So if anybody wants to pay me a lot of money to do that, I'm good. I'm happy to switch.
Well, see, actually, I was going to say, I believe you actually you were incorrect on that, because the way it at least showed up on camera is that you moved your right, to the right with your right hand. I actually moved with the left. So I'm not actually sure.
Oh, yeah, but see, then I'm looking away from camera, which, it's not really what you want to do when you're in a TV commercial.
Yeah,
so.
You went to school for, many, many, many years.
20 years?
20 years. 20 years of schooling in this particular case. You're dealing with clients, you're dealing with patients in this case, quite literally patients.
Yes,
both basically your own patients and the patients themselves. Yes. And me, in the case of this NJM commercial, was paid $300 to just go, about 15 to 20 times. Yeah, I know. So, by the way, did I mention I had Tres Leches cake that day, and also like chicken and rice and all this kind of stuff?
Was that the day that I had Tres Leches cake?
No, I don't think. No, I think I brought that back. That was FBI or Most Wanted, one of the two.
Okay.
Where I basically was inheriting Tres Leches cake because they were throwing it out. So I would bring them back for you that night. That was in December.
Yes.
No, this was February we did this, but no, I had one of my own.
Side benefit of your husband working in the film industry, they give them lots and lots of food, and if he doesn't eat them, he brings them home for me. So thank you for the desserts.
I do what I can, although the system has changed a little bit now because of the fact that they're not doing the whole buffet style, and frankly, for whatever it's worth, and thank God, they're not throwing out nearly the amount of food they used to, which I think is a great thing. It might be down to like maybe 30% of what they used to throw out. So it's a huge thing from that regard. It makes me personally feel better not to see literally 15 pounds of chicken or steak just go right into the dumpster. Breaks your heart. So unfortunately for you, you don't get the leftovers bringing them back like you used to.
Not quite as much, although they were very nice on what was it, Greatest Showman, where they just packed up food for you to drop off at my office. So
after a while, they were just like, "Does she want anything?" And they would just bring, have like 3 containers worth of stuff to bring back for you. But again, that was a
great crew on that show who actually fed me and several of my coworkers every time Scott worked on it. So thank you to the crew of Greatest Showman.
That was Henry's, by the way, which in my opinion is like tied for top of all the catering companies out there. Some of them are a little questionable, some of them aren't. But Henry's, if you see that, you're getting pretty much top of the line that you're going to get.
Yes.
But yeah, unfortunately now under the new system, they actually have prepackaged stuff, which if they have leftovers,
that's okay. So
so I'll start to bring back steak and cheese or whatever. But yes, so you, like I said, so that commercial for NJM, which if you watch any of your Mets games, they play it ad nauseum.
Yep.
And it has a jingle in there that basically gets stuck in your head, which, as at this point is probably, I don't know, in your mind, And basically, for anybody who's listening, I know a lot of people here that listen to this are international. I understand that. So you're not going to understand this entirely. But if you're here in the United States, there is a jingle that really people hate here because
I
it's
think
played.
it's.
What's that?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for interrupting you. I do believe though NJM is more regional because it's New Jersey specific.
So yeah, but
So people outside of our area may not hear that one.
For those that are outside the U.S. that are listening to this, there is a jingle called 1877 Cars for Kids.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone in the States hates the friggin' song because it's constantly played. It gets stuck in your head. And you honestly, what you want to do is you want to actually take a power drill to the side of your head to get it out of it because it's constantly all the time. The NJMG theme, I think personally, is just as bad now. And listen, I got to be nice because they paid me decent money. But after a while, after 150 times of hearing this damn thing, you really don't. It's like, is that one worse than or the other one worse?
I think I would have to disagree with you on that, really, just because the NJM is more regional, so it's kind of just New Jersey. Maybe you're seeing it in New York or Connecticut, but it's a shorter jingle, and the Cars for Kids has been around for so long. I mean, I remember Donnie Wahlberg talking. It's bring in a film set story. Donnie Wahlberg talking about it on Twitter that he had the Cars for Kids theme stuck in his head and couldn't get it out, and this was back like almost 10 years ago. So I think that one's got staying power.
Yeah. I mean, the NJM one at least has a guitar, which is nice.
It does. It has a guitar.
Yeah, but maybe it's worse for me because I heard it probably about 85, 86, maybe 100 times that day.
Yes.
So it burned into my head when I came back, and then 2 months later when there was released, it's like, there it is. It came right back again.
Yes.
But
so the funny thing about that day, so I got a text from my darling husband, who had the lyrics stuck in his head and texted me the lyrics. So when you get a text message, everybody's probably had this experience where the first line of the message comes across the top of your screen, and the lyric that he started with, which the song starts out, was "When you're in a fender bender." So of course my heart stops, thinking my husband's been in a car accident, and I go, "Oh my God!" My coworkers are like, "Are you okay?" I opened the text, and it was the lyrics to the song. So we all had a good laugh about that one.
I do apologize for that. Yeah, that was something I didn't even think that far ahead. I'm just like, this is
it's okay.
Let me share the wealth and the misery.
We did get a good laugh, and I feel like that commercial now it's been discussed at work so many times.
Oh yeah, well, like I said, it's constantly playing during every Mets game, every Yankee game, once or twice minimum per game. God knows how many times. I mean, there's been times I've had like both of those, either one of those networks on, just putzing around. It's like, oh, there I am. And that's just kind of how it is in this industry, where you have just these things just pop up and you're like, oh yeah, that. But
and we do have pretty much baseball on 24/7 now, because as you can tell from our banter and what Scott is wearing, he's a Yankee fan. I'm a Mets fan. You can see some of my Mets memorabilia behind him.
Suffering Yankee fan. The team is trash right now.
For once, the Mets are the best team in New York. Let's keep it going, guys. Strong, stay healthy. Don't do what you always do, where halfway through the season you forget how to play ball or all get injured or both. We're going to do it this year, guys. We're going to do it.
Fortunately, you're in a weak division, but probably should have you on Sportsnet at some point, though, because actually you can definitely talk Mets. And I know basically you Mets and Obi being a Phillies fan, that would really work out really well to see that banter go back and forth. Although I think he'd be hard pressed to disagree with you, because the Phillies are garbage even after this weekend, which disappoints me. I like Girardi. But anyway,
talking about being a long-suffering Mets fan.
As we talk about this and basically take up 5 minutes on a show about filmmaking.
Exactly.
Fudge it. It's fine. How many times have I gone off?
What the heck? It's just us chatting. All right. Anyway.
We're actually, almost halfway through at this point, too.
There you go. Good.
As always, Tales from the Film Set. You can find us on Twitter at Film Set Tales and Facebook on Tales from the Film Set. Personally, I've said it before on the show, I would love to be able to change it on Twitter to Tales from the Film Set, but Twitter only allows 15 characters, so you have to be creative. First world problems, social media problems. Anyway, we had mentioned this before. We never quite got to it, so we're going to get to it right now.
Okay.
30 Rock.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
To which basically, as I'm rewatching it, I'm fully expecting to come across that episode in the near future.
Yes.
Your first, I believe, your first experience in the world of television.
My first experience as an adult.
Well, as an adult, yeah. Maybe we should talk about Nickelodeon too as a kid too. We haven't actually discussed
Oh, that was great. Yeah. So when I was a kid, I was on 2 or 3 Nickelodeon shows. I think two Nickelodeon shows. Nothing spectacular. I wasn't like a child star or anything like that. I was on one episode of a show called Kids Court. And I was on an episode of a game show called Make the Grade, which I did win.
Yay.
So, it does show that as a child, I was capable of going to an audition and actually landing the part. And, so to me, being on TV was, mom and dad drove me into the city and, they brought me to the thing and I did what I had to do. And, that was that. So then, I decided I wanted to try this again as a hobby just for fun. And, somebody filled me in on what you have to do to get cast on things. So I did all that stuff. And so they cast me on 30 Rock. And having not done, I really just wanted to do background work as a hobby because I'm mildly or more than mildly obsessed with crime shows. And it was on my bucket list to be on SVU. I had it, I literally have written out a bucket list and it's be on SVU. And so I have to thank my husband because that actually did happen, but many years after this. So I decide, let me do what I can to just kind of be one of the people, like a looky-loo at the crime scene on SVU, check off my bucket list, go on with my life. Okay, do all the things. And then I'm like, it's been a month and I haven't been on Blue Bloods or SVU, which is my other favorite show. So I guess
we're talking 30 Rock or SVU?
Well, no, we're talking 30 Rock.
Okay.
But the reason that I wanted to act
all right.
so I could be on SVU. I know, it's kind of convoluted story.
That was on me.
So after a month, which anyone in the film industry has laughed at me thinking, really, you gave it a month? Like, come on, really? It takes more than that. But
I'm going to be a star.
Having not knowing and being impatient, I was like, well, it's been a month and they haven't picked me yet. So I'm like, let me just, submit for any roles that are available on days that I'm not working. So I submitted for a role on 30 Rock and I got it. And it was a little more than just being in the background. So after a 20-ish year hiatus of doing anything on TV, I get this part on 30 Rock as a runway model. And they said, no modeling experience. And I had some from back when I was a teenager. But again, they didn't say, when did you model? They just wanted someone who did. I was honest. I just said I did. So they cast me as a runway model. So I'm like, okay, great. And suddenly I find myself over there with my own dressing room and 30 Rock's wardrobe, including some designer shoes, which I really wish I could have, taken. And somebody who has an Emmy did my hair. And I'm sitting there going, this is a lot more than just being in the background. And I'm kind of freaking out inside, but trying to pass it off like, oh, this is just, every day for me, just like it is for all of you. And yeah, so I was chatting with the other models who were actually all working plus size models currently. And I was like, oh, hey, this is my first day back after just being on TV as a kid. So they all kind of hated me. And I realized that's not what you're supposed to say, but the experience was mind-blowing. It was like one of those fantasy things you see on TV, in a movie where it's like somebody gets plucked out of their normal life and it was like a whole big glam makeover basically, because it was runway hair. So they had my hair up in this crazy updo and all this makeup that I never wear and sparkly stuff on my eyes. And oh, okay, all right, and so I felt kind of like a princess. And then I literally, on set, there's Alec Baldwin, he's chit-chatting with us. There's Tracy Morgan, who's like, hey, you all can hang out with us. So we're literally hanging out in his dressing room with this massive big screen TV, watching TV with him. And I'm like, oh, okay, I would enjoy doing this more. So the episode is called Queen of Jordan 2. I don't remember what the episode number is, but if you watch it, you definitely do see me laughing with Jack McBrayer during one of the scenes where I think he's walking off of the runway and we're all hanging out with him backstage on the show within a show.
All right. So what, season 4, I think?
I don't remember. How many seasons were there?
7, I believe.
So I want to say it was 6.
Okay.
I think it was 6. So yeah, so unsure. But it was an amazing experience.
To be treated like basically a first teamer on there when you never had an experience really on a film set before as an adult. And you're just like, yeah, I'm going from BG to, yes, I have basically an Emmy person, you know, Jason doing my hair for me.
I was not actually, I was still considered background. I was considered featured background. Honestly, I got the role because of this hair, which, you know, I'd like to thank the Lord Jesus Christ for giving me this hair, because this is what it does. I was just born with it. Maybe she was born with it. Yes, I was. Downside of it is this is what it does. It doesn't hold a curl. But anyway, but it was funny. I was, you know, signing out. So when you leave, I don't know how much of the like nuts and bolts you've talked about on the show before.
Here, you know.
Okay. So when you're leaving, there's paperwork you fill out, and I had asked the PA, the production assistant, to check my paperwork, and I said, just make sure I fill this out correctly. I was like, honestly, the last time I did this, my parents did it for me. It's been a while. And so she stops and looks at me and she goes, wait, this is like your first time doing this? And I'm like, well, in like 20 plus years, yeah. I mean, and she goes, do you know how you got this role? And I was like, well, yeah, I submitted online from casting networks. And she goes, no, hun, these roles are director's picks. And I said, okay. She goes,
still not having any idea what that meant.
Right. So I'm like, okay. So she said, basically casting narrows it down from like 500 people to like 100 people. And then they send that over, and the production team out of the 100 people picks like 10. And then the director looks at the pictures of those 10 people and pointed to 5 of us and said, these girls. And I just looked at her, I'm like, are you serious? Okay. So I literally, again, I felt like this is like something out of a movie, you know, like how does this actually happen? And that was my introduction to being on TV again.
And yeah.
And so the pinnacle of my adult acting career was day 1, and it's just been
set that bar really high. Meanwhile, on my side, I was on probably 15 to 20 days before I even showed up once. You know, I remember it did, like I said, it you know, Blue Bloods a few times, Royal Pains back in the day. You know, it just never showed up. So you're right out of the gate like, damn, you go, you know.
I know. And all I wanted to be was a blip on the radar in SVU and check off my box and be done. So
and you did do that though.
I did do that. Probably how many years later? 7 or 8
that was like
years
2017, 18, I think, maybe for you.
Probably. Yeah, I think it was 2017. So that was like 5 years later. I think 2012 was 30 Rock. So
actually, as I'm looking at my list here, yeah, it was more like, for me, about 42 days on set before I finally showed up on camera. Just looking at the list right now in front of me. Yeah. So some people get it right out of the gate, and some people do not get it right out of the gate.
No, but you've obviously had a much more illustrious career than
now. I hit the ground running when it finally showed up, and it made a big difference because it turned a lot of people's heads, namely my father. You know, but I think I've mentioned that before. I may mention it another time anyway. But we got about 25 minutes-ish left here at this point. This is Tales from the Film Set. Find us always on Twitter at Film Set Tales and Facebook on Tales from the Film Set. Alongside me is my far better half, regaling us with stories of 30 Rock, regaling us with stories of Mysteries of Laura, and pretty soon now we're going to be covering the regaling a story about Smash and a near miss. This is Robin Gwiazdowski under her stage name of Faith P. Robinson. Isn't that a fancy old name? I kind of I'd say I need to come up with a name of my own, but I've been doing this 11 years now, so screw it. But yes, you and I have been married now. We've been together for about 5.5 years now. We've been married for 3.5, rounding it off like 3.5 at this point, maybe a little more than that. But we apparently, there was a couple of times where we crossed paths and never realized it.
Yes, that is true.
So
Yeah, so Smash, was it the
it was
Tony Award scene, or was it the soft opening in theoretical Boston scene?
it was the Broadway scene. I never did the Tony. I was never there for that.
Okay,
But it was
okay,
it
so it
was the
had to
end
be
of the
that.
first season. I've got it on my list.
Okay,
But
so it was the first season. So I was on 2 episodes of Smash in the deep background. But friends of mine did actually find that if you hit pause at the right time, you can find me. I would exactly. I was one of the people in the audience at the season finale of season 1 and also the series finale of season 2, which I don't know if you actually do see me in that one, but the first one you do. So it was the show was opening in Boston, but Boston was actually Staten Island.
I didn't know it was in Boston.
Yeah, it was supposed to. Yeah, it apparently on the because I got into watching the show. We're theoretically in Boston, but it was Staten Island, and so we're there on opening night, all dressed up fancy because it's a big deal because the show's premiering, and there's all of us in cocktail dresses or gowns and tuxedos, and there were like 100 and something of us.
Oh, it was a lot of us that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I was up on the auditorium part of it.
Yes.
I was sitting on the stage for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know where you were sitting for that though.
That's where I met Shelley, and then they separated us because they were like, it can't just be all girls sitting together and all guys sitting together. Like that doesn't work for the scene. So they mixed us up and put us with some guys. But yeah, so apparently we were 2 of the 1 to 200 people who were there that day. Never really met each other.
Yeah, and it was funny because, like I said, we obviously crossed paths at some point. It's one of those things that I almost kind of wish I could, in the movies, you see this. When you see people cross paths and you never know. But unfortunately, this is the downside of real life. Did we ever cross paths? Did I say hi to you? Did you say hi to me? We don't know, and we probably will never know. No. Because of the fact there were so many people there. I remember that day. I remember the crosses and everything that was going on. But it was just really funny because I don't know if you made an impact on me or had an impression or anything like that. I haven't got the foggiest idea. And to this day, I've kind of wondered that because, fast forward a few years, we met and got married.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so like I said, ironic in that particular regard. But Smash has been 9, 10 years at this point. All right, about 8 or 9 years, I think, at this point.
No, has it been that
long?
I
think so.
It was 2012, 2013.
Yeah, so we're dealing with 8, 9 years here. Wow. My first the pilot episode, I'm looking it up now. I did 3/28/2011.
Okay.
So, and then basically September of 2011.
Yeah, so I was on the tail end because I didn't start acting until 2012.
Yeah,
and I was in the finale. Right. And then I was on it again in 2013. And yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm looking at all the days that I've got. Theater patron, 13th, 14th, and 15th of March. Because I was working that around the time I was working Trooper. I remember that one. That's where I played Jerry. No, that never went anywhere, which sucked. But anyway, yeah. So we're looking at 9 years. Correction on that. 9 to 10 years in Smash.
Wow.
Christian Borle, like I said, I still see him every now and again. I saw him on Prodigal Son because he played a priest in an insane asylum. Still a very nice guy, very outgoing, very.
He is a very nice guy. I had a very brief conversation with him.
Dude, he's a charmer and a half, that man. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that this Smash, if I remember right, was like Deborah Messing's first show or maybe second show after Will and Grace, because I seem to recall, correct me if she had a show in there called, I think, The Starter Life too, but I don't remember offhand. But anyway, irrespective, we got about 20 minutes left at this point.
All right.
There was something that you and I had privately discussed talking about, and I think it's good for a laugh. Family. I have not talked about this yet.
No,
because typically on this show we don't usually talk much about previews, but you and I have a very curious, strange bond over the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Yes.
This is something where, as you probably know, F9, Fast and the Furious 9, technically the 10th movie in the entire story arc, is coming out on June 25th. And there is a strong, distinct possibility that this group of
And I
people who
was
originally started out with bootleg DVD players are now going off into space. And by God, you and I have to see this movie. I don't care. We're going to figure this stuff out.
So
By the way,
yes.
like I said, I'm pre-recording this. So in this particular case, I will be bleeping out what I just said there. I finally dropped an obscenity on this show. My bad.
Good job. Good job. After being warned multiple times not to say a bad word, he did. So maybe I should just say a couple so you can practice your bleeping.
No, let's leave it as the one. But yes, we are pre-recorded right now, so I will be editing that part out. After promising I really wasn't going to be doing any editing. Whoopsie.
And I'll just go off on a rant and say bleep bleep bleepity bleep bleep bleep.
I was like that back to that Morse code thing again. But,
get your bleep and bleep off the bleep. Yeah. All right. But anyway,
gum chewing funk monster.
Yes. So about F9. My husband and I have very different tastes in TV and movies. Like I said, I'm very into crime shows. He is very much not. He's into the whole action movie, DC, Marvel, and Fast and Furious, where there's lots of scenes with, blowing stuff up and crazy driving. Mm-hmm. So I end up sort of I'm sorry.
I like to shut my brain off.
You do. So sometimes I'll be doing something else and he's watching one of those movies and I get sucked in and then I start watching it. And so I kind of half watched the entire franchise while he was watching it. And I happened to make a sarcastic joke after, the third or fourth time where I'm like, all right, what are they doing with the cars this time? When they drove a car onto a boat, it was a big deal. Then they drove cars onto a plane and then there was this submarine. So when he said another movie was going to come out, I said, well, what are they going to do now? Drive cars into space? And apparently my sarcasm was actually greenlit by a studio somewhere. And there is a large suspicion that they will, in fact, drive cars into space.
The trailer itself shows, a car basically with a rocket, pack on the back of it. At this point, nobody cares. I mean, I've used the phrase, forget suspension of disbelief. We're talking about full out expulsion of it. This is a series that nobody cares how absolutely outlandish it is, as long as it's more outlandish than the last movie. So there's a scene in the trailer where he drives off a cliff and they end up snagging, I guess, the frame of the car on a tow hook, which is connected to a plane. So just because the timing of it, but we don't care. Because it's such mindless, brainless, stupid entertainment that a lot of people will be looking at it as like, yeah, this is dumb as hell. And we'll be like, yep.
So, on one hand, yes. On the other hand, that they do kind of hurt my heart a little bit. As somebody who's very into cars, and I kind of feel that cars, this kind of, in a sense, conflicts with my religious beliefs. So I don't know how I can, justify them, but I really do have a sense that cars have a soul. In some capacity, and so all of the cars that are just absolutely destroyed making these films, like the one scene where there's all these cars, I guess they had set some kind of device where their GPSs or something in their computer systems caused all the cars to turn themselves on and drive off the parking deck and smash on the street next to them. And apparently I saw behind the scenes thing, they actually did that for real. They rigged them up with remote controls and had an entire parking deck of cars drive themselves off and land on the street below, crashing into a massive pile of wreckage. Mm-hmm. And that just killed me, thinking about all those cars just destroyed.
Well, these cars are fixed up too. I mean, we live across the street from Nutchies. Those cars get damaged all the time. It gets fixed up.
Oh no, these were just normal cars that got they bought them just to wreck them.
Yeah, I'm not sure whatever happens. I see your point though. And that actually does hurt my heart a little bit too.
Based on what you said. I know that they said there was one car that was worth like $3.5 million, so they did not actually crash the real one.
You're talking number 7, I think.
Yeah, they had their special effects crew actually recreate that car on like the frame of something else, so it just kind of looked like it on the outside, but it wasn't.
Still dropped that car 50 feet though.
They did. They destroyed it, but they didn't want to actually destroy the $3 million car, so they built one
Yeah.
cheaper and, you know, made a fake one. But
Even Justin Lin movies have budgets here. But
exactly. So,
but yeah, they're like I said, they may be going out into space. This is going to be more ludicrous than the last one, especially because it's now, oh, he has a younger brother we never talked about in 9 movies across the entire franchise. And by the way, a cartoon series.
Well, again, you know, without using the fabulous device that you love and I hate, which is creating a multiverse.
Yes.
I mean, they've already brought the fiance, now wife, back from the dead.
Yes,
because
Letty's back.
right, she wasn't really dead. She just had like amnesia, and I think somebody else potentially might be resurrected from
Han
the
is
dead.
back. Yeah, Sun Kang's character is back.
Yeah, so I guess, you know, he didn't really die either. It was just a, I don't know what. You know, so I mean, if you're already doing stuff like that, where, you know, we're kind of hedging on this soap opera, oh, he was just in a coma for the past 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, having a brother that you didn't know about isn't that far-fetched.
But his brother, but he's, you know, he's an evil assassin. But here's the big thing. This is not the end of the franchise. They are doing a 10th, and I've heard rumors of an 11th film, which the magic question is, okay, if they hypothetically go out into space for Fast and Furious 9, are they going to the moon next? Are they going to Mars? I mean,
learning how to drive on Mars would be a great concept.
God.
You know, discussing how the gravity affects the cars. Do you drive faster? Do you drive slower? Are you floating? You know, I mean, I guess not, because the Mars rover stayed attached to the ground. They didn't hover. So, you know,
but here's the thing, you know, if you know, Matt Damon can drive on Mars, you know, if Ben Affleck can drive on the moon,
yes,
I was going to say, you know, Vin Diesel can drive a Ferrari or, you know, Lamborghini or whatever he's got there, you know,
true.
on Mars. You know what? Heck with it. Venus, you know, Mercury, we haven't done yet. Again, we could have the multiverse part of it. You know, let's just go multiverse. Really, just annoy you, because I know you hate multiverse.
I hate multiverses. I think a multiverse. This is going out
there.
You're
really going to hate the MCU and where that's going.
Right. Well, so I'm gonna probably get, you know, hate and flack and trolling for this, you know, because it's going all over the world. I hate multiverses. I think the concept of a multiverse, whether it is possible in theoretical quantum physics or not, concept of a multiverse is basically a way for the writers to write themselves out of corner, because they put themselves in a place where the story is where it is, and then they don't want it to be there anymore. So it doesn't matter who's alive, who's dead, if you're older, younger, time jump. Hey, look, we're in a multiverse, and the story is completely different, and the people are completely different, so we could write more.
And we can blame the DCU and my desire to watch that till the end of the Arrow universe, until the end of the Arrow series. That's the reason I think ideally you hate the whole.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, because because everybody would do that. I mean, not so much Arrow, but Flash especially would do it.
Yeah, are you dead? Are you alive? Then we didn't know who's the real one, who's the fake one.
Yeah, I mean, Arrow did it a little bit with the one character they killed off, and then brought back a doppelganger, and But I know after a while, and especially with that finale, Crisis of Infinite Universes, or Infinite Earths, where you have all of these conglomerate universes all built together into one big
all over the place. Sometimes the bad guys are good, sometimes the good guys are bad. Then somebody meets their child, but their child's already grown up older than them. Like, I can suspend disbelief for things like Doctor Who, because Doctor Who, whether it's possible in reality or not, there's a TARDIS. There are rules associated with the TARDIS, which it has to follow, except for one or two plot device exceptions. But, we understand how it works. And it moves back and forth in time, but space is just sort of what it is. Mm-hmm. It doesn't go to a different multiverse where everyone's the same but different. It sets parameters and it stays within the parameters. So.
All right, so you want to keep it within 4 dimensions is the limit on this. 5 and beyond is tough. So.
I'm good with space and time travel. When we start getting into simultaneous multiverses, no.
5, 6, and beyond, yeah.
Yes, it just seems like it's just made up stuff for the writers to have an easier time to write.
And somewhere out there, basically, you have a 4-legged cat named Scully.
I know.
Yeah. Perhaps there's a universe where you have a 0-legged cat named Scully. Why not?
True. That's true.
So the cat just kind of it's just like a big old potato. You just pick it up more. So.
And I say this with love, as a budding screenwriter, I would love to just play the multiverse card, but but I can't. So love to all the writers, but really, guys, you're taking the easy way out.
Okay. So, well,
Yeah.
well, I think some people understand that and agree with it a little bit. Like I said, especially with the way the MCU is kind of going, because now they're going into the whole multiverse aspect of it. I'm not going to mention exactly how and why, but it softens up the whole Thanos Infinity War arc by where they're going with it. It's always going to be bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So it softens the whole impact of it. But anyway, I don't know. We're stuck in this universe in three dimensions here, 4 as we plod forward in time, which, by the way, speaking of, we've only got about 6 or 7 minutes left at this point. Find us always on Twitter at Filmset Tales and Facebook at Tales from the Film Set. And soon, probably by the end of the week, Instagram at Long Bloody Last. I plan to get that done and get that rolling, especially as I have new episodes right now and episodes that don't involve me, myself, and unfortunately just I. So that's a big thing there. We got a little bit of time left, like I said, at this point. Anything you want to cover? Any thoughts, ideas, comments, compliments, complaints?
I don't know. I mean, I was thinking about talking about making your own short films, but I don't know that we could do that in 6 minutes.
Well,
so...
short topic, short film. There you go.
Well, there you go.
Short amount of time.
All right.
So roll with it, dude.
Made my first film really just because, well, 2 reasons. One, everybody else that we were friends with made a film and I hadn't. And then, I got some egging on from my my better half / business partner of like, get off your butt and make a film if you're sick of being the only one in our circle of friends who hasn't made a film. So we made a film, which is called Something Fishy. It'll be coming out to film festivals near you soon.
Yes.
We are currently
a good script too. I was very impressed for a maiden writing effort. So.
It started off being a practice film because I wanted to just learn how to make a film. And I figured, well, I have enough friends who know how to do it. So instead of spending a boatload of money going back to school to go to film school, let me just learn by doing. And it was going to be practice. And, instead of a practice film where it was just sort of us and a friend with some really nice camera equipment, it became us. An entire team of people, some of whom have really great credits and significant amounts of equipment. And so it was great. One thing I did learn is that when you decide to make your own film for the first time with, no budget, you are the writer, you are the producer, you are the lead, you are the art department. You're the hair and makeup department. You're the script supervisor.
Craft services, catering.
Yeah, catering. I directed at one point because our director had a conflict, and he said, "Well, I taught you enough on the first day. You know what my vision is. I think you're good. Rely on your DP for the stuff you don't know." And there you go. So I did actually pinch hit directing. It's interesting when you're trying to be all those things. You wear very interesting costumes. So there's, me directing with my hair up in rollers because I was going to be on camera in a different scene. There was the one where it was really cold and we were just doing the over the shoulder shot where I was wearing the cocktail dress. So I'm wearing jeans and sneakers, a cocktail dress, and a puffy coat, which I pulled off right at the last minute because the door was open and I was
shot that in December, if I remember right.
Yeah, so December, the door's wide open, you're wearing a cocktail dress, it gets cold. So yeah,
we don't.
I said, if you only need to see this much of me.
Yeah, we don't have the luxury of filming in San Diego in December. No.
So it was it was jeans, sneakers, a coat on the one arm that no one saw, and you only had to see this part. So there you go.
But yeah, like I said, I was very impressed with it. I've read a lot of scripts. I've read some good, some NIs, I guess we'll call it, needs improvements. But no, I was actually really impressed with what you wrote there, and I mean that sincerely. Not as the person who lives with you, but from an objective standpoint. Massive props to that.
Thank you. I had some help, some input from a great writing group that I was part of.
You are part of that group, yes.
Yeah, I'm actually part of 2 writing groups, one through NYWIF, which is New York Women in Film and Television. The other was through La Strada Ensemble Theater down in South Jersey. So props to all of the writers in both of those groups for roundtable discussions where we all helped and polished up each other's work and gave each other suggestions. And I think we were on draft 5, and which actually in screenwriting is pretty good because
but yeah, as far as Something Fishy goes, we finished that. Just need a final proof from you. We'll get it out to score, get that out and going.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a few other projects in the pipeline. I've got a few of my own, but I'm not really at a point right now, between Spangler Sports World and the YouTube channel and everything else, to really delve into my wordplay comedy that I have in mind. Or actually, I have two. So time it'll happen in its due time, or it won't. That's usually how these things start to work in life.
Exactly.
But we are pretty close to having to wrap this up at this point.
All right.
Like I said, find us always on Facebook and Twitter at Tales from the Film Set and Film Set Tales, respectively. This show is available across 35 plus different platforms across 4 different continents. I say this pretty much every week. Antarctica is not an option yet. I don't believe we've had any viewership in Antarctica. So that is, believe it or not, in a weird way, kind of a goal of mine, to have somebody watch this show from down there. I think it's kind of funny,
On one hand, you think, they don't have Wi-Fi, but on the other hand, a research station will need Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But you know what? They probably have that satellite thing that ships have, where it's ungodly expensive to actually use. So I don't know that they actually stream things. That's my guess. I think
they probably have something.
I don't know. The guys on Deadliest Catch on one of the episodes talked about how they wanted to watch the Super Bowl on the boat, in the middle of the Bering Sea. And they had some kind of satellite set up, but it cost them about $5,000 to live stream the Super Bowl. So I think Antarctica would be pretty darn expensive to watch us.
Yeah, but it could be government funded too.
It could be.
Because a lot of times those expeditions are government funded. So, listen, we're willing to take a trip to Antarctica if the government's willing to pay for it. So we can try and do an episode down there if you want.
You are willing to take a trip to Antarctica.
But you're always complaining. You're always complaining that it's not cold enough.
Yeah.
There you go. You'll be fine. But
anybody who has temperature wars with their spouse, please comment on who's the hot one and who's the cold one. Because I think it's one of the laws of nature that if you're always hot, you must marry someone who's always cold, and that's just how people find each other.
I'm the cold one here in this case. So
yeah,
but
and it's usually the opposite. But
you make it work. We have a big enough place. It's warmer in the basement here, so I'm not as bad that way. So
there you go.
All right, that's gonna do it. Thank you again for tuning in. Thank you again, Robin. I appreciate this. Our Faith T. Robinson. Faith T. Robinson, Faith Wazowski. Go by the whole shebang on that.
Exactly.
But I appreciate that. Coming up next week, I do have a new show host coming on. So to that point, cover that a little bit more as we go in. So it looks like I've at least more or less resolved the issues that I've had as far as co-hosts go. So thank God for that.
Congratulations. And sorry, guys, it's not me. It's somebody who is a lot better than I am at this.
What's that? I'm trying with that one. But we'll see what happens there. So, but anyway, yeah, like I said, this is going to do it for us. One more time, Film Set Tales, Tales from the Film Set. I'm Scott Churchson. She's Robin Wazowski. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. You guys rock wherever in the globe you happen to be. And together, let's make it a great day. Take care.